Good evening, everyone, and blessed be. This is your host, Aries Starwind, and welcome to another episode of Readings at the Witching Hour. We're continuing our reading of the book, The Outer Temple of Witchcraft, Circles, Spells, and Rituals by author Christopher Penczak. Today we're going to be reading two separate sections, the first on personal honor, and the second on motivation. Personal honor. Since the craft is sparse in determining a universal code of behavior, it puts the burden of creating a personal code of ethics on the practitioner. This is simply for you and no others. What is right for you might not be right for anyone else, and through witchcraft we realize this. Every witch, consciously or not, starts to develop a personal code of ethics and honor for both magic and everyday life. We create our own boundaries and definitions, and must learn to explore them and redefine them as needed. They are not set in stone, but based on our beliefs, thoughts, feelings, and experiences. Some of the common boundaries revolve around spell work. A common boundary, which I highly recommend, is not doing spell work for others without their permission. If you can get the person's conscious permission for the spell, that is the best situation for the working. They should be actively engaged in the process and following up the spell with real-world action. You can word your request however you like. Some witches simply ask to pray in my own way for the person and receive permission. When you can't physically reach the person to ask permission, some witches ask permission of the recipient's higher self, going into deep meditation, asking to connect with the divine essence of the recipient, and then getting a feel of yes or no. Some of the methods of divination, such as the pendulum or muscle testing. In any case, the work is done for the highest good of the recipient. It is considered at the very least an extremely bad form to do magic for someone who has not given permission, would be adverse to someone using witchcraft, or has out and out declined. Witchcraft is the magic of love, and love must be freely offered. If it is forced without regard to someone's free choice, it is no longer love. Then it becomes what many in Hollywood witchcraft refer to as black magic. I don't use that term. If it is harmful, unloving magic, I simply call it harmful or unhealthy magic. I don't use a color to denote it. White magic is not necessarily good magic. I know many people who claim to do white magic and to pray for others, for results against their wishes. These white witches feel they know what is best, regardless of free choice. And I know many dark, gothic witches worshiping the gods and goddesses of the underworld, who are very loving and healing, and who would never strive to do any harm, magical or otherwise. One of my personal boundaries goes even further than getting permission. With the exception of healing work, I almost never do a spell for someone else. It's not that I'm selfish or uncaring. I won't do it for someone because for me, that is disempowering. The most transformative aspect of the craft for me was the empowerment of taking responsibility for my own action in creating my own life. I don't want people to transfer their authority from one institution or religion onto me. I will do a spell with others. I will teach them how to do it and guide them the whole way. I will give them the tools and guidance to do it on their own if they prefer. But I don't simply fix things for others. I say almost because each situation is unique, and there have been exceptions, but as a rule, I find the conscious engagement of the person to be the most vital to the process. When you are a public witch, you field strange requests from family, friends, and strangers to do magic for them. But many don't even want to take the time to be present when you do the spell. How can they really want it if they don't want to put any time into it? I ask people to be involved to weed out those looking for the quick fix from the local witch to get exactly what they want, rather than a reflective process to understand and change. If I did every spell request I was given without engaging the recipient to be involved, I would be doing spells for others all the time, with no time for my own personal work and journey. Do no harm means you must help yourself to happiness as well as helping others. New witches often get trapped into this pattern. They desire to serve and help others, but don't draw a boundary as to when it is appropriate to use a spell and when it is not. If the person can't be bothered to be involved, to light a candle, to read a spell, to simply be present and focus on the intent, then I can't be bothered either. Sounds unfair to some, but the gods help those who help themselves. Those who act create change. Those who wait for a long time. This is how I got involved in teaching in the first place. People came to me to learn to do spells or have psychic readings. I did that for a while, and still do. But then I got more interested in helping others get their own answers in meditation and do their own spell work. That is the true empowerment. I am not more special than anyone else. If you truly desire to walk the path, put the time and effort into understanding and practicing the craft. And then your magic and meditations will lead you to the happiness, healing, and spirituality that you crave. As time goes on, you will find yourself creating a personal code of honor, an internal practice of spiritual truths that you will not deviate from without deep reflection and inner guidance. Some write it out and reflect on it over time. Others carry it with them, with no need to put it into words. Again, there are no easy answers. The final decision and consequences of all your decisions is up to you. It has been, it is, and always shall be this way. Motivation. After reading up on the ethics of the craft, would-be witches often get discouraged. You mean it's not easy? You mean I can't turn my ex into a toad? You mean I can't curse someone who's crossed me? Yes, that's exactly what I mean. I don't teach that style of witchcraft. It is a path of wisdom, not curses. If that is why you decide to become a witch, then think long and hard, because what you will do will return to you. Thinking about your motivation to study witchcraft, magic, and spell work is an important exercise. Why do you want to do this? What is the reason and motivation behind it? I'm not discouraging you or encouraging you by your motivations. My motivations certainly changed as I changed. I wanted to do spells. I found a wonderful power in spell work. I wouldn't believe spells worked, but I did. And I wanted to experience more of magic, to study it and know why. I didn't have any grand spiritual aspirations. I thought I was studying witchcraft as a science, not a religion. But the two intertwined. I would do anything to do spellcraft on a deeper level. When my teachers said you have to learn meditation, psychic awareness, and healing before going on to spells, I did just that. In the process of both developing those skills and actually doing deeper spell work opened me up to the spiritual path. It's easy for me to dismiss others starting on the path as not interested in the spirituality. Some seem scary because they are fascinated with spells, and spell books are so readily available. I might have seemed that way when I started too, so I never judge or dismiss someone by his or her motives unless the beginner purposely wants to do harm with it. You can never know how a teaching will affect and change someone. This manual is not just another spellbook, but a guide to a deeper unfolding, wherever it may take you on your personal path. For me, it's been highly beneficial to remember my first motivations for entering the craft, so I understand better when people enter it. I can remember my excitement and nervousness about it. This following exercise is important because it will not only serve you right now, but far into the future. The exercise for motivation. Think about what first drew you to witchcraft, including spells and magic. What was your focus? Were you drawn to do spells? Some are not, and are actually afraid of spell work, or even revolted by it, but are still drawn to witchcraft as a path. What are your thoughts and feelings on the matter? Contemplate your motives for this choice on the path. Write a short paragraph or two describing your motives, in whatever level of detail you would like, in your book of shadows or journal. Put it someplace you will keep it and see it years from now. And there we are, everybody. That completes chapter 3. I did want to finish up that chapter. I know there was only 2 quick sections, but before we get into chapter 4 in the next episode, just wanted to make sure that we finished that chapter up and kept it fresh in our minds. So there we are, everybody. I hope you enjoyed our reading tonight. God is blessed, blessed be, and I will see you all later on.